When the blackout hits, the biggest threat won't come from looters downtown. It'll come from the people living 10 feet away. Your neighbors. Studies show that in a major disaster, supply chains break down in as little as 72 hours, and grocery stores are stripped bare in under 3 days. After Hurricane Katrina, over 80% of local households reported running out of food and clean water within the first week. When desperation kicks in, even friendly faces will turn into competitors, and the ordinary items sitting in your house right now will suddenly be worth more than gold. I'm talking about everyday supplies, things you don't think twice about. That could mean survival for you, but temptation for everyone else. If you don't protect them, you'll lose them. This isn't paranoia. It's history repeating itself. So in this countdown, I'm going to show you the everyday items you must guard at all costs before the grid goes down. 8. Batteries. The silent lifeline that will disappear overnight. What most people don't realize is that batteries are the oxygen of modern survival. They quietly power everything from flashlights to medical devices, and once they're gone, they're gone. During a nationwide blackout, shelves will be stripped bare in less than 48 hours, and after that, replacements may never come. According to the EPA, Americans throw away over 3 billion batteries a year, yet almost nobody has more than a few extras at home. But in a collapse, those overlooked AA and AAA cells suddenly become the most hunted items in the neighborhood. And it's not just about flashlights. Batteries mean communication. Two-way radios, emergency weather alerts, and even old landline handsets with backup cells depend on them. They mean medicine. Tens of thousands of Americans rely on battery-powered devices like CPAP machines or glucose monitors. Imagine what happens when those devices go dark. Desperation will follow, and neighbors who never gave you a second glance will suddenly be peering into your windows at night, wondering why your lantern still shines. To protect them, don't just hoard bulk packs in plain sight. Split them, vacuum seal them to prevent corrosion, and hide them in toolboxes, coat pockets, or containers labeled as holiday decorations. Invest in rechargeable lithium-ion packs and small solar chargers, because unlike single-use batteries, those can keep cycling indefinitely. And don't make the rookie mistake of testing gear out in public during the first days of the collapse. The glow of a working radio or the faint hum of a powered fan will draw in desperate ears and eyes. Guard your batteries as if they're blood plasma, because in a world gone dark, that's exactly what they are. 7. Seeds. The future food supply. Sitting in plain sight. Your neighbors may raid pantries and corner stores, but what most won't think about, until it's far too late, is the power of seeds. They don't look like much, just small pouches of dried kernels. But in a world without grocery trucks, seeds become the difference between a temporary food stash and an endless harvest. Right now, America imports a significant percentage of its produce, and just-in-time supply chains keep grocery shelves stocked. Strip away electricity, and within weeks, agriculture grinds to a halt. Seeds then transform from garden hobby to survival gold. Heirloom and non-hybrid seeds especially, because unlike the genetically modified hybrids most people plant today, heirlooms reproduce themselves year after year. One tomato seed packet that costs $2 today can yield hundreds of pounds of food if managed right, and in collapse conditions, that translates directly to survival. In the Irish potato famine of the 1840s, families starved not just because crops failed, but because they had no alternative seed stock. History will repeat itself. Your neighbors will trade anything once they realize their kids are choking down dry beans with nothing fresh to eat. Protect your stash by disguising it. Store seed packets inside file folders marked taxes, or tuck jars into bins labeled holiday crafts. Never brag about your gardening because the first sprouts you show off will mark you as a food source. And don't just stockpile seeds. Learn now how to grow, harvest, and preserve them. Because an amateur mistake in a blackout world could cost you a year's worth of food. Guard your seeds like you guard your ammo. They aren't just supplies, they're the blueprint for tomorrow's survival. 6. Water filters. The hidden treasure that will decide who lives. When the taps stop running, water won't just be scarce, it will be lethal. According to the CDC, even in normal times, 7.2 million Americans get sick from contaminated tap water every year. Now picture that number exploding once pumps stop, pipes backflow, and neighbors are dipping buckets into rivers and gutters. Within days, outbreaks of cholera, dysentery, and E. coli will rip through communities. That's when water filters, ordinary plastic tubes with membranes finer than a human hair, become more valuable than gold. A single Sawyer mini filter can process up to 100,000 gallons if maintained properly. Life straws, Berkey systems, even DIY ceramic filters become the line between thriving and dying. But here's the danger. Your neighbors won't think about water safety until their children are doubled over with diarrhea. Then they'll remember the prepper who always talked about being ready. If they know you've got filters, you've just painted a target on your back. Protect your stash by keeping packaging out of sight, relabeling filter boxes as old electronics, and stashing extras in different hideouts. Never dump backwash or show off clear drinking water where others can see. And here's the overlooked truth. Filters are finite. Membranes clog, carbon elements wear out, and replacements won't exist. That means you must rotate filters, stock multiple brands, and learn backup methods like boiling and solar stills. Guard your water filters like you'd guard antibiotics, because once desperation sets in, neighbors will trade food, fuel, or even weapons for just a sip of safe water. Without them, society collapses into sickness faster than hunger ever could. 5. Cooking fuel, the invisible resource that will vanish. First, most preppers obsess over food stockpiles, but here's the reality. Food without cooking fuel is useless. Pasta, rice, beans, all the staples people rush to buy are inedible without heat. And once the blackout stretches into weeks, your neighbors will discover the ugly truth. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, over 60% of American households rely on natural gas or electricity for cooking. Take those away, and only a tiny fraction have propane, wood stoves, or camp fuel ready. That's why your stash of propane tanks, butane canisters, charcoal, or even split firewood will be worth more than the food itself. During Hurricane Sandy, fights broke out in New York gas lines, not over gasoline for cars, but propane tanks for cooking. In Venezuela's collapse, families traded their jewelry for firewood just to boil beans. And here's the kicker. Cooking smells travel. Neighbors who haven't eaten hot food in days will smell your stew from half a block away, and that aroma will act like a homing beacon. Protect your fuel by diversifying. Don't rely on one source. Store propane in locked cages, charcoal in sealed bins, and wood off-site in disguised piles. Learn to use rocket stoves and solar cookers for stealth meals that produce minimal smoke. And above all, never waste fuel showing off. In a blackout world, one pot of boiling water can mean sterilized drinking supply, hot food, and morale for your family. Guard your fuel harder than your pantry, because once it's gone, your food stockpile might as well be a museum exhibit. In collapse survival, fuel is fire, fire is food, and food is life. 4. Soap, civilization in disguise. In normal times, people laugh at the idea of hoarding soap. After all, you can buy a bar for less than $1 at the corner store. But in a blackout collapse, soap becomes the frontline weapon against an invisible killer, disease. History is crystal clear. More soldiers died of dysentery and cholera during the American Civil War than bullets. Why? No soap, no hygiene, no hope. Fast forward to today. In a world where garbage trucks don't run and water treatment plants shut down, filth will pile up faster than food disappears. The World Health Organization estimates that basic hand washing can cut diarrheal disease rates by up to 47%. And without that, you're staring at neighborhood outbreaks that can take down entire families in weeks. That means every bar of soap you own instantly turns into survival gold. But here's what most won't realize. Until it's too late. Soap isn't just about washing hands. It's antiseptic for wounds, insect repellent when smeared on skin, lubricant for squeaky hinges or jammed zippers, and even pest control when diluted in spray bottles to kill aphids on crops. In Venezuela's economic collapse, Hygiene items like soap and toothpaste skyrocketed to black market value, traded pound for pound with food. Protecting your stash requires stealth. Bars have scent, so remove packaging, seal them in airtight containers, and scatter them in multiple hideouts, closets, toolboxes, even inside bins marked linens. Never let your neighbors see your family spotless while theirs descend into grime. Clean clothes, clean kids, clean faces will betray you faster than anything. Soap is civilization in a bar. Once it's gone, disease isn't far behind. Guard it fiercely, ration it wisely, and know this: when the grid goes dark, the dirtiest killer won't be hunger. It'll be germs. 3. Flashlights, the beacons that betray you. When the blackout stretches past night 1, darkness stops being a nuisance and becomes a predator. The human eye can detect the flicker of a flashlight from over a quarter-mile away in open terrain. That means the glow you take for granted could instantly mark your home as a resource-rich target. Flashlights, headlamps, and lanterns become both essential and dangerous. Essential because you need them for repairs, medical emergencies, and navigating debris. Dangerous because every flick of the switch screams, "I have supplies." In Hurricane Maria's aftermath in Puerto Rico, one of the most common barter items wasn't food or medicine, it was working flashlights. Why? Because darkness breaks morale, and morale breaks people. A single working flashlight can mean the difference between panic and calm, between stumbling into injury or working confidently in the night. But here's what most preppers overlook: batteries and bulbs don't last forever. If you're relying on dollar store junk, you'll be blind in weeks. You need rechargeable lithium packs, solar charging stations, and red light filters that keep your beam discreet. Red light preserves night vision and can't be spotted from as far away. Militaries have used this trick for decades. Protect your stash by scattering units in toolboxes, glove compartments, and hollowed-out books. So if one stash gets raided, the rest survive. And never flaunt your light. Use blackout curtains, keep lumens low, and avoid lighting entire rooms. Think surgical strikes of light, just enough to get the job done without broadcasting your position. In a collapse, flashlights aren't just tools. They're symbols of control in chaos. To your family, they're hope. To your neighbors, they're temptation. Guard them like weapons, because in the blackout world, that's exactly what they are. 2. Matches and lighters. Fire in your pocket. If there's one thing civilization cannot function without, it's fire. Strip away electricity and gas lines, and you're left with humanity's oldest ally. And without a way to spark it, survival collapses fast. Most people think they'll just figure it out with sticks or flint, but here's the ugly truth. Modern humans are woefully unequipped to start a fire without tools. Studies on wilderness survival courses show that fewer than 15% of beginners can create sustained fire from friction within a day. And that's under controlled training conditions. Add hunger, cold, and stress, your chances drop to zero. That's why matches and lighters, cheap, ordinary tools, become priceless. During World War II, Zippo lighters were traded like currency among soldiers, sometimes swapped for food or medical supplies because fire meant cooked rations and morale. In Venezuela's collapse, black market Bic lighters were worth more than some household electronics, simply because no one could get them. But here's what most overlook. Fire isn't just for cooking. It sterilizes water, hardens tools, signals for help, and keeps predators, animal and human, at bay. Protecting your stash means thinking like a thief. They're small, pocketable, and easy to grab. Hide them in coffee cans, hollowed-out books, winter boots, or vacuum-sealed packs buried in the back of closets. Spread them out so one break-in doesn't wipe you clean. And practice stealth fire. Use rocket stoves, Dakota fire holes, or small covered flames to minimize smoke and light. Because in a blackout, the smell of cooked food or the glow of fire isn't comfort. It's a beacon. Matches and lighters are civilization in your pocket. Guard them, ration them, and never let on how many you have, because once your neighbors realize you can make fire at will, you'll become the most hunted house on the block. 1. Food, the final frontier of survival. Everything else on this list is worthless if your stomach is empty. Food isn't just calories, it's power, leverage, and the single most fought-over resource in human history. Right now, Americans waste nearly 30% of the food we buy, tossing it without a thought. But in a blackout collapse, waste doesn't exist. Every crumb becomes sacred. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has admitted that grocery stores carry only 3 days of inventory at any given time. That's how thin the margin is. Add a blackout, and refrigeration dies in hours. Meat, dairy, frozen goods, gone. What's left? Dry goods, cans, and whatever's hidden in your pantry. Within 72 hours, shelves will be stripped bare, and then the neighbors will come knocking. Hunger has no morality. During the siege of Leningrad in World War II, over 600,000 people starved to death, and neighbors turned on each other for scraps of bread. History will repeat itself, because hunger doesn't negotiate. It takes. Protecting your stash requires paranoia. Never keep it all in one place. Split supplies between pantry shelves, hidden bins labeled Christmas ornaments, and even buried waterproof barrels off-site. Rotate stock religiously to prevent spoilage, and build a decoy stash of ramen or expired cans to hand over if you're pressured. And here's the overlooked truth. Food isn't just survival, it's control. Whoever has food controls the community. A single can of tuna becomes currency, buying tools, labor, or loyalty. Cook in silence, disguise food smells with outdoor fires or spices, and never brag about gardening or canning projects. Even a casual comment will stick in a hungry neighbor's mind. Guard your food like you guard your life, because in a blackout collapse, they're one and the same. Food is survival, food is power, and food is the line between life and death. And when the lights finally go out, here's the truth you can't ignore. It won't be gold, guns, or gadgets that decide who makes it through. It'll be the everyday items you've got hidden in your home right now. History proves it. In every collapse, from Venezuela's economic crash to the siege of Sarajevo, the people who survived weren't always the strongest or the toughest. They were the ones who had food when others starved, soap when others got sick, and fire when others froze. In America, we waste billions of dollars worth of supplies every year. But when the grid dies, that waste stops instantly. Every can of beans, every flashlight, every bar of soap becomes a bargaining chip, a lifeline, and a reason for desperate neighbors to turn on you. That's why preparation isn't just about stockpiling. It's about protecting, hiding, and outsmarting the desperation that will come pounding on your door. Remember this: the collapse won't turn strangers into danger. It'll turn friends into threats. Guard what you have, move in silence, and never underestimate how fast hunger, fear, and darkness can change the people you thought you knew. Survival won't come down to luck. It will come down to whether or not you were ready when everyone else was not.